The backdrop to another election night today in America is, of course, Donald Trump's war of choice in Iran. And right now, the entire planet is hanging on every word about that war that comes out of this administration, which is quite normal, because when there's a war, the president's the commander in chief. World leaders, both our allies and our foes, they're all watching. Energy CEOs are watching. And global oil markets that will determine the price of gas for the foreseeable future are reacting. American service members and their families wondering if they will get called up for duty in yet another Middle Eastern war. They're watching. Stock traders, shipping companies, airlines, Americans traveling stuck abroad who can't get home, and there are still many of them. Everyone is carefully scrutinizing every single sentence uttered by the Trump administration about what they can expect to happen next. And that's a problem, because everything this administration says about the war is a pile of hot, steaming, contradictory nonsense. I mean, just take Donald Trump's ever-evolving answer about how long this war will last. A pretty pivotal question. Yesterday, Trump gave a phone interview from his golf club in Doral, Florida, of course, in which he said, "I think the war is very complete," pretty much. I mean, great if true. And that offhand characterization, muttered over the phone from a golf resort, was enough to send sinking global stock markets into a sudden rally. Newspapers around the world blasted Trump's words in headlines as though this was a clear signal that this war with Iran would be ending very soon. And look, you should be able to take any president of the United States at his word. But just the previous day, Trump's own Secretary of Defense was saying this.
What I want your viewers to understand is this is only just the beginning.
That was the day before. This is only just the beginning. And that is obviously very different from the war is very complete pretty much. And incredibly, Hegseth and Trump actually gave those contradictory statements to the very same news network. So who are we all supposed to believe? Trump, who says the war is pretty much over, or Pete Hegseth, who says the war is just starting? Trump was asked by reporters about that very contradiction, and here's what he said.
You've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared?
Well, I think you could say it both. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further.
It's both, everyone. Literally cannot be both. Maybe he ends it, maybe he doesn't. I mean, in other words, Trump's market-moving, international headline-making comments about the war being almost over were meaningless. It's just something that he randomly blurted out to a reporter on the phone from his golf course. It's the same with all of his messaging about this war. I mean, for days, Republicans have been tying themselves in knots over whether or not to call this a war. And they were kind of in a tough spot because Trump kept calling it a war.
We're doing very well on the war front. I have to go back and look at the war. You know, we have a lot of things happening. We have unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're using in this war.
We may have casualties. That often happens in war.
It's actually branding on this whole Iran war that he was kind of consistent on. But then yesterday, Trump decided to give his war a little rebrand.
But we took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. Short-term. Short-term.
So now the president's war is a short-term excursion, emphasis on short-term. He's now talking about the war like it's a weekend golf trip, just a short little excursion. Remember, this is the same president who said just last week that wars can be fought forever and very successfully. Nothing Trump says day to day has any real meaning. Every pronouncement is liable to change on a dime. And it's not just coming from Trump himself. It's really his entire administration. I mean, at the start of the week, oil prices skyrocketed after Iran effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway through which much of the world's oil supply is shipped. And then today, Trump's energy secretary, Chris Wright, took to Twitter to announce that the U.S. Navy, quote, successfully escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz. You can see the tweet right there on the screen. That single tweet sent the price of oil tumbling back to earth because it sent the message that oil tankers would perhaps be able to get through this very key strait moving forward, which means there wouldn't be the same reduction of available oil in the marketplace and prices would then come down. The Wall Street Journal reports that Wright's tweet may have wiped out nearly $84 million worth of value in just one oil-linked fund alone. But then, just 10 minutes later, Secretary Wright suddenly deleted the tweet. And the White House then confirmed that the Navy did not escort any tanker through the strait, as Chris Wright had claimed in his tweet. And a few hours later, Reuters reported that the U.S. has actually been refusing near-daily requests from the shipping industry for military escorts, telling them the risk is simply too high, according to sources familiar with the matter. So the Energy Secretary then basically tweets that the U.S. is helping oil tankers navigate around Iran. That happened first, causing massive swings in the global market for oil. And then he quickly deletes his tweet, and the White House comes out and says, yeah, that never happened. And to top it all off, we learned that actually the U.S. has been refusing to help oil tankers because the risk is, of course, too high. These are life and death issues that affect the safety of shipping workers in international waters, and it has massive effects on the global economy, including the price of gas paid at the pump every single day by millions and millions of Americans. So what does the president have to say about all of this, what I just outlined there? Does he have a plan for how those oil tankers can navigate safely out of this war zone? Well, here's what he told his buddies over at Fox and Friends.
So, Brian, you did a phone interview with the president of the United States. What is his read on this?
So I asked him, how do you get the prices down? I know how much you care about oil and gas. And he says, tell these tankers to get to it. We've wiped out most of their launchers. Here's exactly what he said. These ships should go through the Strait of Hormuz and show some guts.
What a solution. Trump says oil tankers and all of the people working on them should just sail on through that deadly strait and show some guts. Which is even crazier when you consider that CNN reported today that Iran has begun laying mines throughout the Strait of Hormuz, according to people familiar with an intelligence report on the issue. And the president just told civilian oil tankers to show some guts and start sailing through there anyway. Almost as if he maybe realized his mistake or someone told him it was, who knows. He posted to Truth Social this afternoon demanding Iran remove any mines in the strait or face consequence, quote, at a level never seen before. You know, the man loves a threat. It's quite obvious they are just making this all up as they go along. In another poorly thought through effort to curb rising oil prices, the Trump administration is reportedly considering easing sanctions on Russian oil. And this despite the fact that Russia is, of course, an ally of Iran. And the Washington Post cites 3 U.S. officials who say Russia is providing intelligence to target U.S. forces. Today, the real estate guy Trump made his envoy for the Middle East was asked about that contradiction inherent in easing sanctions on Russia at a time when they are helping to target and kill U.S. troops. And here's what he had to say.
Do we think that the Russians have shared intelligence about the location of U.S. military assets? And if they have, why would we be giving waivers on Russian oil sanctions?
Well, I'm not an intel officer, so I can't tell you. I can tell you that yesterday on the call with the president, the Russians said that they have not been sharing. That's what they said. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we can take them at their word.
You don't have to be an intel officer to know that you can't trust the Russians. Just see 2016, see the war in Ukraine, see any number of things Vladimir Putin and the Russians have done in recent years. Yet his answer was the Russians say they're not doing it, so we should just take them at their word. Oh, and also as a reminder, Russia is one of Iran's biggest allies. Just take them at their word.